Ayubowan, today we are going to look at a very familiar thing which is used or which is useful to each and every person in the country, in the world, and also the less talked of. That is media. Media is something you can never miss. No one can miss. Whatever the age, whatever the rank and file, where you live, where you work, the media, you come across media, you go through media. And some years back, maybe not so many years, 10-15 years back, when we said media, it was confined to a very few modes. The newspapers, radio, and also the people's access to media was very limited. Sometimes people used to go to the reading room and read the papers, they share. Sometimes they get together in the evening and listen to one radio available in the neighbor's place. But today, the media is something. I can remember that there was a wedding of one of my cousin sisters about 50 years ago, and there was a sound system brought in a small truck. And then when I went for her daughter's wedding, and then they brought the sound systems in a box. So that is the development in the technology. So media has developed so much in technology, and also it is now widespread, and also it comes in different modes. The radio, that electronic media, then the print media, then also the social media, then also some people say the gossips. That also has become media. And I was told by a media person, Maliyadde, you better be careful. Media can break or make. So you have to be careful in using the words or dealing with media. So that's, now I realize after so many years, I realize it has a lot of sense. Media can break or make. And you all may remember a few months ago, there was a COVID-infected person, a girl or married woman working in a garment factory. And then there was a talk that she has gone to see a foreign visitor, and then she got inflicted, and then the entire factory was affected and the factory was closed. And then media came into the scene, and media went to see her husband, her children, where children are educated, and then gave a long stories with different interpretations. And then at the end, it was found that she was not the person who was responsible to bring the COVID virus to that factory. It was someone else. But that time her character was completely assassinated by media. And her husband, I saw her husband made a statement that, you know, my wife and I are very close, and we are very, my wife is so innocent, but the media made her more or less a prostitute. So this is what the media can do. But that is how media can break. But we could go for the positive aspect, how media can make. Now that is where, you know, that we have to be more concerned now. But again, someone told me, the media or the news is in not good things, in the bad things. This is why you go for that. But then what we go for is not media, the information, we go for sensational part. But I think it is time to have a discourse or a dialogue as to how media can be formulated or how it can be made more useful to a developing country like ours. Now, recently, we all have seen the biggest talk in the town was IMF. Some people know what IMF is, some people even do not know what IMF, but they all talk of IMF, IMF, IMF. And then many of them talk of the positive side of IMF. But there are so many things. Now, the first time IMF is coming to Sri Lanka, we have gone to IMF 16 times earlier in the history, and the country is today in a begging state with getting IMF assistance for 16 occasions. Now, it is time for us to discuss where we failed, why we failed. Now, if IMF is a kind of a God level thing which is going to bring solace to the country, which is going to bring us out of this mess, the crisis, then why we have failed in the past? I have not seen anyone is discussing or expressing the views as to where we went wrong with IMF. And then for this time, for the 17th time, a delegation went to IMF, thoroughly unprepared. And IMF said, yes, we can discuss, we can negotiate, we can consider granting another concessionary loan. But how are you going to come out of this mess using this IMF assistance? The delegation was speechless. And these are matters which could be discussed at large by the people, by the professionals, by the politicians, by the policymakers, students. I think all age, all professions across the society, these things should be discussed. But unfortunately, there is no forum. So I think the media should be the best forum to discuss, take these things out and tear into pieces and turn in and out and see pros and cons, good and bad, whether IMF is the solace, IMF is the only source, or whether there are other alternatives. These things should come out. These things also must be understood by people. Some people say government has agreed with IMF for certain conditions, but the ordinary people do not know what these conditions. Now, the good example is there were some economists, academics and some learned people who have stated IMF is going to be the only way out for us. And then the government introduced various measures, devalued the currency, increased the prices, then the concessions, the subsidies were taken out, and then increased the tax rate, especially for the wage earners. Then today you can see those who have spoken in favor of IMF are silent because their take-home pay has been taken out through the taxes. Now they are silent. Even yesterday I read a newspaper article by a senior professor of economics. He has talked about this taxation. Now they are talking against the taxation. But taxation is a condition laid out by the IMF for future negotiation. Now, these are the matters which should be discussed at large, but there is no forum. The only forum is the media. So I strongly believe the media can make a big role in taking the country forward and getting the country developed and also getting the entire country involved in this discourse. I think we must continue this discussion through media. The media should be the forum for future of this country. Thank you.